This is Sam Stone here with Den of Geek at South by Southwest 2024. Here with the filmmakers behind the upcoming documentary Fly, available on Hulu, Disney Plus, and through National Geographic. I'm here with directors Shaul Bors and Christina Clujot. Guys, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thanks for having.
So I love the cinematography on this thing. It feels like you're flying over Moab. It feels like you're flying over Europe. How was it working with the jumpers and everything to make sure you just got these shots that really kind of give you the sensation like you're in flight?
I think we wanted to celebrate the beauty of what these guys are able to do and show people that they really do fly now, and especially in this age of wingsuiting, it's truly incredible. So we kind of went to the distance to make that happen, whether it's being on top, using helicopters, using PEF drones, a lot of their footage. So it was definitely a big part of it. We also obviously wanted to get into the headspace and the culture and what drives you to do this. But yeah, trying to give an audience, especially on a big screen, this unbelievable thing that humans do now was definitely a big goal, and we worked hard at it.
Sure. What was it about these jumpers in particular in building this narrative? Like, what was it about these, like, this is our story. This is what puts the human face to, these people that want to slip the surly bonds of earth and touch the face of God?
A lot of things. I think, initially when we started this project, we didn't know anything about this culture. We didn't know anything about this community, and they kind of took us in as, you can photograph us, you can film us, and it kind of emerged from that point. And I think initially the story necessarily wasn't about couples. That was kind of something that evolved throughout. I think the one thing with documentary film is sometimes the story leads you and other times you lead the story. And on this one, we kind of knew about the culture and the community that we wanted to follow, but really the couples were something that kind of came organically.
How did you want to manage the balance? Because obviously the danger of it is always there. It's omnipresent throughout the entire film, but at the same time, it's a celebration of it. It's a celebration of life and how these people find life on the edge of potential death. Like, how did you want to navigate that tricky balance?
Yeah, you nailed it, right? There's a dream, flight, and there's a problem, gravity, and problems with that potential dream. And I think there's something kind of when you start spending time with base jumpers, you really see that. And whether, the first time I saw wingsuiting, I was like, holy shit, I want to do that. And Christina was like, I don't want anything to do with it. But what we immediately felt is, like, in an age that so many people feel like they want to live right and get to 150, here was a group of people who just wanted to be alive, and it was so, like, you could not want to just leave me a little piece of that. And so I think we found that in these incredible characters, and as the story developed, like Christina said, we were like, well, what if you take this dream and this most dangerous sport, and you suddenly realize that it's hard to date and be in love with someone who's willing to do that with their lives. And so a lot of these relationships happen within the community. And, we're so built to protect ourselves and the ones we love. And here is this, like, they understand each other, but there's a conflict there. And of course, as filmmakers, conflicts drive stories. And we kind of just let that lead us, I think.
Of all the jumps that you had kind of witnessed and from afar, from terra firma, like, what were some of the ones that just kind of really had you at the edge of your seat, going through these rock formations or kind of like just hugging cliff faces before shooting out? Like, what were some of the ones that took your breath away?
I think for me, it was one of the final shoots we did. We actually had the opportunity to use a helicopter, and to watch from that perspective was something that I actually felt like for a minute I was able to fly with them, because everything else, you're very static. You're either waiting at the bottom or on top waiting for them to exit, but you're never really with them in the air. And so even simulating and being in a helicopter to watch them, off a cliff or off another helicopter is pretty incredible to feel the flight for much longer than you usually do if you're standing on the bottom.
And also to see the helicopter can't keep up.
That's the other thing.
what do you hope to really shine a light on when it comes to this documentary subject with Fly that people might not, be aware of as the base jumping community kind of grows more and more?
I think people sometimes judge, and we came in as like, are these guys this deaf cult? And I think that's, people just judge them for putting it all out for their dream, and it's okay. You don't have to do it, but I think take that inspiring part of people who are willing to put everything and do something and live. And so I think that is a beautiful message. And in this story, it is complicated, and I think our characters, which you'll talk to in a sec, know that very well. They're not doing it with their eyes closed. But I do think that life is worth taking risks sometime, and that's a good lesson whether you want to base jump or not.
So when the filmmakers approached you, like, hey, we want to like get your story and we want to see your perspective on base jumping and what puts you in the air. Like, what was your initial response to like agree with getting the spotlight with this?
I would think base jumping in and of itself is kind of a closed community, and it's hard to kind of make that bridge initially. But upon meeting them and talking to a few people that had met them before, it ended up building quite a good relationship. They were amazing from the start and through the whole process. It was awesome.
With something like this, one of the things that's mentioned early in the documentary is that base jumping doesn't have a Michael Jordan. It doesn't have a Wayne Gretzky. It doesn't have that superstar. Is part of the close-knit nature of base jumping because it doesn't have that superstar, that you all just kind of have your other, or do you think it needs the superstar to kind of put a profile on it?
I think that one of the beauties with our community is that we're pursuing to fly. We dream of flying. We dream of being birds, and we don't really have any role models here apart from actual birds. And we as a community, we just share this dream, and we just try and do our best with whatever capabilities we have. And it gives us quite a good belonging and like this shared purpose, this shared journey that we do together.
With so much of this about the interpersonal relationships, like how quickly is that kinship when you kind of recognize, recognize game, like this is somebody else that is willing to strap on and jump off a perfectly good cliff and go soaring through the air at blinding speeds. Like how close-knit and quick is it to kind of recognize people with that same mindset?
Yeah, like 20 minutes at a drop zone with a couple beers in you, like pretty good actually. Like, I mean, I'm not to take it too lightly. Like, my wife and I work in the educational side of the spectrum, but it's definitely a different kind of person that gets into this kind of sport. And when you meet someone that shares that kind of dream, you develop a kinship, and it's definitely something special that you get to share for years and years and years, hopefully. And it's very, very special.
I personally don't like to tell someone that like, oh, you're not made for that. You shouldn't be jumping. So we do have students, but I do like to like look at them and then understand about them and their previous life if they do any other kind of sports. Of course, if it's a person that has never done any kind of sports before, I wouldn't recommend. But I'm not gonna be the person to tell him or her that you shouldn't be doing that. I think it's very personal.
We're definitely part psychologists, I would say, like in a little way.
One of the things I love about this documentary is there's an invitational quality to it. It's like, come on in, the sky's warm, but at the same time, this is real. Like, this is on the razor's edge. Like, how is it maintaining that balance in your life, and how you wanted those stories to be told when you're, because we see some of the consequences with that, and they're heartbreaking, absolutely. Like, how did you want to make sure that came across?
The cool thing about filming this documentary with Charles and Christina was that I never felt like I had to be something or do something special. It just kind of felt like Charles and Christina kind of slid into our lives and were just there occasionally, and we hung out with them. And because of that, I was allowed to be myself. I haven't seen the documentary yet.
It's good. You'll enjoy it.
I really look forward.
You're like, oh fuck, what did we get ourselves into?
I really look forward to see it. But for me, one of the most special things about it is that it is just us being ourselves, and whatever story that creates is a very honest and open and true story.
Like I was telling the filmmakers, this film is, death is present, but it's a celebration of life on the edge and life in the air. What do you hope that some of the big takeaways are with, people that learn about this community for the first time, or learn things they never thought they'd learn about with base jumping?
Well, I hope that people will see the documentary and maybe reconsider before they tell us that we're crazy. So often I get people come up to me and just tell me, you are crazy. And I don't feel like I'm a crazy person. I feel quite sane and normal. And I think in many ways, I feel that our community is a bit misunderstood. We're not crazy people. We just really like flying. And it just so happens to be that it's also quite dangerous.
This is Sam Stone with Den of Geek here at South by Southwest 2024. Audiences can catch Fly on Hulu and Disney Plus through National Geographic. Guys, thanks for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.